charmed ones, and welcome back to my channel for another video. And if this is your first time with me, I'd like to say welcome. My name is Alexis, but I'm also known as MissTrenchcoat all across the internet, and I help ambitious women plan for a balanced and successful life and online business. Now, last month, I gave my community the opportunity to vote on a bunch of topics for me to do trainings on here on YouTube. And since I got such great feedback for all of the topics, I promised you guys that I would go ahead and do a training on each topic. So that is the series that I'm continuing today with a training on habits and self-care. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the 7 habits of highly productive women, the daily rituals that create long-term success, balance, and well-being. So, what do successful, balanced, deeply fulfilled women have in common? It's not luck. It's not more hours in the day. It's not even hustle, although they do take action. The secret is that they have designed their lives around a handful of intentional habits, simple daily rituals that protect their energy, support their goals, and help them show up as their best selves even on hard days. In this training, I'm going to walk you through what I call the Self-Mastery 7. 7 powerful habits that, when practiced consistently, create long-term success, balance, and well-being. Now, before you panic and think, 7, I can barely manage 1. Let me reassure you that you don't need to do all 7 every single day. In fact, most successful women don't. But by making these habits a regular part of your life, most days of the week, you'll start to notice a major shift. More focus, more clarity, more resilience, and more results. In this training, I'll break down each habit, what it is, why it matters, how you can make it doable and actionable for you, and where it naturally fits in as part of your existing routine. Then we will go ahead and review a 21-day challenge to help you test out these new habits and experience the transformation for yourself. So if you're ready to design a life that supports your productivity and your peace, let's dive into the habits that will help you become the most well-planned and productive woman that you know. So, the 7 habits of highly productive women. Let's get into the heart of the Self-Mastery 7. Daily habits that build the foundation for success, balance, and well-being. These aren't just productivity hacks, they're rituals that support your energy, sharpen your focus, and help you to move through life with clarity and intention. Again, you don't have to do them all every single day, but the more consistently you incorporate these into your routine, the more your life will begin to shift. So habit number 1 is mindset work. So your mindset is the filter through which you experience everything. Whether you're working towards a goal or navigating through a tough season, your thoughts can either support or sabotage your success. Mindset work doesn't have to be complicated. It can be as simple as writing down a few affirmations, spending 5 minutes visualizing your ideal outcome, journaling your intentions, or doing a quick meditation before you start your day. The key is to do something that realigns your energy and focus. Think of it like brushing your teeth, but for your brain. Even 5 minutes of this each morning can ground you in clarity and motivation for the rest of the day. So here are some mindset work examples for you to think about and consider adding into your daily routine. So number 1 is morning affirmation mirror work. So you could repeat 3 empowering affirmations aloud while looking into a mirror. You could do a 5-minute gratitude journal, right? So write down 3 things that you're grateful for before starting your day. You could do a visualization meditation. So sit quietly and visualize achieving one of your goals for 3 to 5 minutes. Stream of consciousness journaling. You can fill in 1 page with your thoughts to clear the mental clutter. Or mindfulness breath work. So doing like 3 rounds of deep breathing or a short guided meditation with an app like Insight Timer can help you check the box on your mindset work as well. So I give you these examples just to show you that there are many different ways that you can actually execute on these habits. In the next section of this training, we're actually going to identify what specific ways you want to execute on these habits. But that's why I've shared with you some examples, because I don't want you to think that any of these habits have to be done one specific way. There are many different ways that you can execute on these habits, and it still counts. And the most important thing to adding these habits into your daily routine is that you are doing things that actually work for you and support you and are things that you actually want to do. So these are some examples of mindset work that you can do to check the box on the first habit of highly productive women. Habit number 2 is movement. So this isn't about punishing workouts or strict routines. It's about getting your body moving to support your mood, energy, and long-term health. So with this habit, ideally, we're aiming for about 150 minutes of zone 2 cardio each week. So that means moderate, steady movement like walking, cycling, or dancing, where you can still carry on a conversation, right? But you are getting the blood pumping and your body moving. So just 30 minutes, 5 days a week, it can work wonders for your nervous system, your mental clarity, and your overall resilience. Movement helps you to process emotions, reset your focus, and boost your energy levels naturally. And if you're short on time, a 10-minute walk is still a win, right? So again, we want to think outside the box for how we can actually incorporate this habit realistically into our daily lives. So in that spirit, I want to give you 5 examples of movement that you could be integrating into your life. One is a 30-minute zone 2 walk. So a steady paced walk, maybe listening to a podcast or a playlist. Number 2 is a 10-minute stretching routine. This would be useful first thing in the morning or before bed. Number 3 could be a dance party in your kitchen. Move your body freely for like 2 to 3 of your favorite songs. How often are we doing that anyway, listening to our favorite music? But if we can just incorporate a little bit of dancing with ourselves, right? That's a good way to get our body moving. Number 4 is a low impact cardio video. So you could follow like a YouTube walking workout or a gentle cardio session. There's lots of different options out there for you. And number 5 is to bike ride or swim. So you could do a longer activity, maybe like 2 to 3 times a week that suits your lifestyle better than daily workouts, right? So again, this is about figuring out what works for you, what you like to do, what you have time for. Movement doesn't have to come in just one form, right? So those are the examples for you to think about. Habit number 3 is planning. So planning isn't just a productivity strategy, it's a self-care practice as well. When you take time to plan your day before you dive into it, you're choosing intention over reaction. Start each day by identifying your top 3 priorities, time block them on your calendar, then structure the rest of your tasks around that. This one habit can eliminate so much mental clutter and indecision. You'll waste less time figuring out what to do next and spend more time actually making progress. And a bonus tip for you, try doing your planning the night before so you can hit the ground running first thing in the morning. Now, of course, I have some examples for you for how you could be incorporating planning regularly into your life. So number 1 is to do that night before planning routine where you write down your top 3 priorities and time block your next day before you go to bed. Number 2 is a morning brain dump. Empty your head onto your planner or into a notebook so you can sort out your tasks. Number 3 is a weekly overview session. So maybe on Sundays, you'll map out your week and set your project milestones. Number 4 is using a digital calendar so you could block out focused time and add reminders to stay on track. And number 5 is to use a sticky note priority method. So you can write your top 3 on a Post-it and stick it on your desk or laptop. Remember, planning doesn't have to necessarily look one certain way. There's a lot of different ways that you could go about getting your thoughts and plans and tasks out of your head and onto paper and organized so that you can execute them. The important thing is that you have some sort of planning routine and implement planning regularly as a habit so that you get the benefits of actually executing on it. Habit number 4 is cooking. So there's something deeply grounding about preparing your own meals. It's not just about eating healthier, though that's a great benefit. It's also about reconnecting with your body, nourishing yourself, and making intentional choices about how you fuel your day. When you cook at home, you control the ingredients, the portions, and the energy that you put into the food. It's almost always more nutritious, more affordable, and more aligned with your wellness goals. So try planning just 3 to 4 home-cooked meals per week to start, then build from there. Keep it simple and repeat your favorite meals. You don't need to be a gourmet chef to make this happen. And of course, I have a few more examples for how you could actually be incorporating cooking into your life if you're not someone who already does that. So number one is to batch prep smoothie packs. So you can assemble ingredients for a week of smoothies in advance, just kind of get all of the ingredients, put them in their own little packaging, put them in the freezer, pull them out in the morning, and then you can maybe add like milk, water, or juice and then blend them up, right? So that's an easy kind of meal prep. Number two is to make simple one plan meals. So you could choose one protein and one veggie and one carb and either roast or saute them all together in one pan, keeping it really simple. Number three is to prep 3 key ingredients. So you could pre-cook some grains, roast veggies, and marinate proteins for like mix and match meals. Number four is to cook with a partner or a friend, right? So make it a social and fun event for you to do during your day. And number five is to upgrade your lunch. So swap takeout for a homemade salad, a sandwich, or a soup that you prep in the morning or even the night before. Okay, so cooking can take a lot of different forms and it can be fun. If you're not someone who already does it, you can be like me and meal prep, or you could be just, cooking your meals one at a time. But the idea is that when you cook, you actually get a lot more health benefits and it's a lot more cost effective as well. Okay, so consider adding cooking to your daily routine. Habit number five is learning. So productive women are curious women. They make time to expand their minds, learn new skills, and engage in new ideas. You don't need to be enrolled in a course to be learning. You can read a few pages of a book. You could watch a 10-minute video or listen to a podcast on a walk. The key is to keep growing. Learning boosts your confidence, it inspires your creativity, and it keeps you from getting stuck in a rut. Even 15 minutes a day of intentional learning can create massive momentum over time. So of course, I have some more examples for you. So number one is to read like 10 pages of a book each day. You could choose a personal development or a business book that you're excited about. Number two is to listen to a podcast. You could do this while walking, while driving, or while you're doing chores. Number three is to watch a short masterclass or YouTube tutorial. There's tons of videos like that on my channel, of course, and in others, but learning something new within like 15 to 20 minutes can be very encouraging. Number four is to read a newsletter or an article. So you could save a few favorites and read them during like your lunch break. Number five is to review your notes from a course. So highlight a concept and apply it to that day, right? So there's many different forms that learning can take in your life. Choose the form that works for you. Habit number six is connection. So we were never meant to do life alone. Real productivity isn't about grinding in isolation. It's about creating space for support, community, and connection. Daily connection might mean a deep chat with your partner, a quick text to a friend, or even journaling a message to someone that you miss. The goal is to feel connected, not just communicate. This habit is especially powerful for reducing stress. Emotional intimacy and human connection help regulate your nervous system, boost your resilience, and remind you that you're not in this alone. So here are some examples for how you could add connection to your life. Send a voice message to a friend, right? A heartfelt 1-minute check-in is all it takes. You could eat a meal with someone with no phones and no devices, right? So presence is the magic ingredient here in this situation, right? To have a nice one-on-one meal with someone or with multiple people, right? Number three is to send a thoughtful text or email, share a memory, a compliment, or maybe an article with someone that you love. Number four is to journal a letter to a loved one. Even if you don't send it, expressing yourself matters, right? And that's one way you can do it. And number five, join a live call or a group chat. So being a part of a supportive community, right, like my mastermind calls, right, are definitely a really great option for people who are looking to connect with other like-minded, productivity-focused, well-planned, and productive women, right? So those are some examples of connection that you could integrate into your life. And habit number seven, last but not least, is sleep, prioritizing your sleep, right? Sleep is the foundation of everything. Your focus, your mood, your immune system, your ability to make decisions. It all depends on whether you're well rested. Yet sleep is often the first thing that women sacrifice when life gets busy. If there's one habit that I beg you to prioritize, it's this one. Protect your sleep like it's your most important appointment of the day. Aim for like 7 to 9 hours each night. Create a relaxing evening routine and set boundaries around screens, caffeine, and late night work. Your future self will thank you. So here are some examples for how you could be prioritizing your sleep. Number one, have a nightly wind down routine. So maybe like you light a candle, you do some skincare, you listen to some calming music, right? Number two, no screens an hour before bed. So replacing phone scrolling with reading or meditation, right? That's a good way for you to integrate some other habits, right? Or do a little habit stack here with your evening routine. Number three is to use a sleep tracker app, right? So this will help you to build awareness of your sleep patterns. I know that there's lots of rings and watches, and even our phones, I think, do something where they try to understand our sleep based on, like, whether or not we're touching our phone, I guess. But there's lots of different apps that you can get or little gadgets to help you track your sleep. You can also just kind of keep track of when you fall asleep and when you wake up in the morning to kind of see how much sleep you've gotten that night. Number four is to take like a magnesium supplement or an herbal tea in the evenings. That's a way that you can support relaxation naturally. And number five is to set a consistent bedtime alarm. So if you get in bed at the same time each night, even on weekends, that's going to help build that habit for you. And when we have a very consistent sleep pattern, that is when we actually get the best rest, when we go to sleep at the same time and wake up at the same time, right? So if you can set an alarm, hey, this is when I need to be in bed, to get in bed to start going to sleep, right? That's going to help you to establish a more consistent pattern and get a better night's rest. Okay, so those were the 7 habits of highly productive women, the self-mastery 7, as I like to call them. Now I want to talk to you about designing your daily rituals around these habits. So at this point, if you don't already have a planner or notebook or like an app where you can type in some notes, I recommend pausing and going to grab that right now, because we are going to actually work through some questions. Now, for the sake of time, I'm only going to read you the questions, and I'm going to allow you to pause and answer the questions in your own time, right? Just so this video doesn't go on being, too long, right? So in this section, we are going to actually get to work designing your specific rituals and inserting these habits into your life. So question number 1 that I have for you is, which of the 7 habits already have a place in your life? So maybe you're already great at planning, or you've been cooking at home regularly. I want you to celebrate those wins, but identify which of the 7 habits you already do and how it is that you do them as well, right? So how you actually execute on them. That's question number 1. Question number 2 is, which habit do you feel most drawn to right now? Often the habit we resist the most is the one that we need the most. But there's also wisdom in starting with what feels exciting. So what do you feel most drawn to starting with right now? What is that habit? Question number 3, where does each habit naturally fit into your current daily routine, right? So here are just some examples. Again, these are just things for you to consider. You do not have to follow these, right? So mindset work, maybe first thing in the morning or right before bed. Personally, I do my mindset work before I sit down to do my actual work. So my mindset work gets done as part of like my workday routine. Movement. You can be doing something during your lunch break, right after work, or before you start your day. I tend to do my movement multiple times a day, because actually my movement is what I consider my movement to be, is my 2 walks that I take the dog on. So Sully goes on at least 2 walks a day. And so we walk for anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour every single day. So that is something that we do before the start of the day, right? Before the start of my work day, I should say, and then after dinner, right? So we have 2 walks that we go on. It's split like that. So think about how your movement would fit into your day. Planning. You could do it the night before, first thing in the morning with your coffee, right? You could establish also a weekly planning routine, a monthly planning routine. If you guys are part of my community or in the mastermind, you know we have these sorts of ongoing routines that we do, where not only are we checking in with our planner every day, but we do certain things on a weekly, on a monthly, on a quarterly, and on an annual basis, right? So start integrating planning, right? Where would that be happening in your day, in your daily routine? Cooking. You could do it in the early evening. You could do it after work when you need to wind down, right? You could do it in the morning, first thing in the morning. You could start prepping things or throw stuff into a crock pot. Where does cooking fit into your day? Learning. This is something you could do while commuting, walking, or cleaning the house, right? turning on the podcast, listening to a book on tape, right? Turning on a YouTube video, right? This is something that you can have going on in the background while you're doing other things. Remember that habit stacking is a wonderful practice. Just because there's 7 habits here doesn't mean you have to do them all individually. You can go ahead and do multiple things at once as long as it makes sense. Connection. Maybe this is something that you're going to prioritize during meals. Maybe you're going to do voice notes on the go or have an evening chat with someone to check in, maybe an accountability buddy, maybe a friend or a partner. Where would that go in your day? Where does it make the most sense for you to be connecting with others? And then finally, sleep, right? A 30 to 60-minute wind down ritual before bed, right, would be a great idea, right? But of course, this is going to take different forms for different people, right? So where does the habit fit into your day that you actually need to do in order to get the result you're looking for? Question number 4 is, what is the lightest version of each habit that you could commit to, right? Start small. If you're building the habit of learning, maybe you're going to want to start reading 1 page a night versus 10. If you're working on movement, maybe you can commit to a 10-minute walk versus like a 30 or a 60-minute walk. Small steps are still steps and still progress. One of the big things that I always teach within my mastermind is the idea whenever we're setting expectations for anything that we're working towards, we want to set like good, better, and best expectations, right? So what is a way that you could show up and it would be a good, effort? What would be a better effort and what would be the best effort? In this question though, I'm just asking you, what is like the minimum viable commitment you can make? So what is the minimum here for you to be able to say, I prioritized my sleep, I made a connection, I did mindset work, right? What is the minimum that you would have to do each day? I don't want you to get stuck thinking that your expectations have to be that you have to do something completely fully, right? Like 110% in order for it to be successful. Even a minimum version is still helping you to build that neural pathway in your mind, and it's still helping you to build the habit. And that's what's really important, right? So we want to actually even make small steps. Even small steps are going to help us to build up to better things. Question number 5 is, which 2 to 3 habits are non-negotiable for you to feel grounded, focused, and well, right? And so think about that list. Which ones do you feel like you need the most that would actually do the most for your personal well-being? Everyone is going to be a little bit different. I do think that like everybody should be prioritizing sleep. Like that's like the only one that I think everybody really needs. But what are like 2 to 3 of the habits that feel like non-negotiables for you, okay? I want you to go ahead and build your routine around those first, right? Be clear about where you're going to integrate those first and make those a little bit more of a non-negotiable for you. Okay, so we've gone through the 7 habits. We've walked through a set of questions to help you design your daily routine around these habits. Now I want to present you with a 21-day self-mastery habit challenge in order to help jumpstart your progress. Remember, we want to build habits that support the woman that you are becoming. And this challenge is an opportunity for you to see where everything can shift from theory to actual transformation in your life, right? So again, this is not about perfection. It's about showing up for yourself in small and meaningful ways. And so here is how the challenge works. Okay, so the duration of this challenge is going to be 21 days, right? The goal would be to complete 4 to 5 of the 7 habits each day, right? We want to aim for all 7, but we want to do a minimum of 4 to 5 each day. The approach we're taking here is progress over perfection. This is not an all or nothing challenge, right? You're not expected to do all 7 habits every day, and you will not be punished, and you will not need to make up for any days if you miss them, right? That is how real change happens. Instead, you'll aim for consistency, completing at least 4 habits per day. Try to repeat the same habit for at least 2 days in a row before taking a break. This is going to help the behavior to take root. I want you to focus on tracking your progress and noticing the impact that each of the habits has on your life. You can use a simple tracker to visually log your success, and I'll link a printable version for you from my shop in the description if you happen to need one of those. Now, what happens after the 21 days? At the end of this first 21-day cycle, I want you to take a moment to reflect. So which habits felt the easiest to maintain? which ones made the biggest difference in your mood, your focus, and your energy, and which ones did you struggle with, and why do you think that was? So this first cycle is a habit formation cycle. So if you were consistent with 6 or 7 of the habits, that's great. You're ready to move on to a second strengthening cycle where you can go ahead and do another 21-day round of these habits that really will help you to deepen your commitment and refine your routine. But if you struggle to maintain, more than 3 or 4 of the habits, that's okay too. What you can do at the end of that cycle is swap out, simplify, or shift the habits that didn't stick, right? The goal isn't to force anything, it's to create a sustainable rhythm that supports your life. So if things didn't work for you in the first 21-day cycle, let's make adjustments. Maybe you set too high of expectations, right? Maybe you chose habits that didn't actually work for you, right? Maybe you chose to do them at the wrong time of the day, right? So let's have something shift. Let's make some changes to see how we could make it easier and more manageable for you to continue on. And then you can go ahead and do another 21-day cycle to see if these new habits stick a little bit better. Are you ready to start? I want to remind you that you don't need to wait for Monday or the first of the month to get started on a challenge like this. You can start right now, today. So identify the specific action that you will take to meet each habit, map out your daily ritual for when you will do each, decide on your minimum viable commitment for each habit, and then show up for yourself one day at a time. And if you want support, guidance, and a community of women who are building these habits right alongside you, I'd love to welcome you to the Charmed Life Mastermind. Inside, you'll find on-demand classes, coaching, and resources to help you stay accountable and grow into the most productive, balanced version of yourself. Because the most powerful version of your life is built one simple, intentional habit at a time. I sincerely hope that you enjoyed today's training. If you did, let me know down in the comments which 7 habits you are going to be focused on, right? Your specific, actions that you are going to take and those minimum viable commitments. I'd love to hear about it. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and feel free to share it with anyone you think would find it interesting. For more of the behind the scenes of my productivity life and business, make sure you're following me on Instagram at MissTrenchcoat. And if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button for more awesome videos by me. And until next time, bye-bye.